Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to the next letter, and it's a very beautiful, instructive letter to Upendra Prabhu. You remember Upendra Prabhu was one of Prabhupada's servants for many years. So this is the early years, it's still early, 1968, and we see this letter. He writes, Prabhupada writes here, Letter to Upendra, Alston, Mass, 1st of June 1968, and he writes it in numeric reverse. San Francisco. My dear Upendra, please accept my blessings. I have received your letter of May 25th, 1968. So this letter is dated 1st June. This letter was written on May 25th, so it's within 5 days. Well, May has 31 days, so it's 6 days time Prabhupada has replied to this letter. And Prabhupada goes on to say, and I thank you very much for it. Yes, I received the medicine intact, and I thank you for sending it. So some medicine was required, and Upendra had sent it for Prabhupada, and he's acknowledging that he received it. Prabhupada goes on to say, for the present, you endeavor to make the Ratha Yatra festival grand successful. You should arrange the procession and procedure so nicely that all the neighboring people may be attracted to join the procession. So this Ratha Yatra's procession, we know, just like the Brazilian carnival, whenever there's like a street parade, everybody just feels so connected when that happens. So Prabhupada was saying, if you make it very festive and grand, and you add in some American flavor, and so people will relate that, oh, there's a very beautiful procession coming down the street. So everybody will want to be part of it, and everybody will want to experience this. It really gives a very nice mood amongst the whole community when these kind of festivals happen. So Prabhupada is saying, make it grand, make it wonderful, and invite the neighboring people, invite people to come for it. And Ratha Yatra was always dear to Prabhupada. It's something that he really, as a little child, will remember in Lilamrita. It's one of the first things. He built the cart, and he would go with the neighboring children, and just like over here in Mayapur, we have this, I call them the rowdy bunch. There's this bunch of kids that I hear that keep the place alive. And on festival days, they get them all together, they round them up. They round them up like a week before, and they start doing plays with them. The senior devotees in the area, the Matajis, and so they round them up, and then they teach them the plays, and then on the festival day itself, they all act out the play. So it becomes a nice community effort. So the same thing here in Prabhupada's earlier years, that he would get all the children together and do kirtan and pull the chariot, put Jagannath on the chariot. So from a very early age, Prabhupada was showing signs of a great Jagannath Bhakta. Prabhupada goes on to say here, yes, your question about will and the individual and the difference between them. So he's asking a philosophical question now. Prabhupada is answering. Thinking, feeling and willing is the subtle covering of the individual soul. This thinking, feeling and willing is accelerated by the individual soul. So he's asking the point about when does the soul come into the point of actually thinking separately from Krishna? And what is that mechanism? How does it work? So Prabhupada is explaining here, in material contact, they are manifested in perverted way. So remember, the mind is not existent in the spiritual world. There, by the pure nature of the soul, it's acting in complete service to Krishna. So it's not acting and thinking separately. But here in the material context, it has developed an independent nature, which is a contamination. So Prabhupada is saying and describing this point, that willing is there in the spiritual world as well, but we don't will separate from Krishna. Because we're so absorbed in Krishna, we will as he desires, very naturally. But here, because we separate from Krishna, we will as we desire. And therefore we have to relearn how to connect back to that original state. So Prabhupada is explaining here, when the individual soul voluntarily surrenders to Krishna and acts in a routine method, thinking, feeling and willing becomes purified. And at that time, there is no difference between the individual soul and will. So Prabhupada is saying, in the spiritual world, yes, you're also willing there, but it's your natural, swabhaviki. It's your natural state at that time. Here in the material world, we do it separately, and it is a covering that is upon us, the subtle body. So when that subtle body is destroyed and left behind here, then the natural state of the soul manifests. So even in the pure state, once the soul has become a pure devotee again, then that soul is acting in its pure state as it would act in the spiritual world. So very interesting question. Prabhupada then goes on to say, Shamasundar is a good servitor from the very beginning, and so is Harsarani. It's a beautiful name, this Harsarani. Harsarani, Harsa means laughter or joking, and Rani means queen. So the queen of jokes or laughter. And we know Krishna is a big prankster also. So it's probably a name of Radharani. Very beautiful name. I am very much obliged to you all that you are taking care of Jagannath so nicely. So the Rath Yatra festival is being prepared and they're taking care of Jagannath, you know. I remember the one incident that was there in Lilamrita, that they didn't know about the etiquette and formality of how to take care of Jagannath. So one day they went to the park, they took Jagannath off the altar and took him also. So Prabhupada was, oh, Jagannath is here. And then he explained, no, the deities stay in the temple. You don't take them out of the... Only on Rath Yatra day we do that. So very sweet pastime as Prabhupada is sharing with them. And then he says, the more you make the deity of Jagannath attractively dressed, the more you shall become spiritually attractive. So Prabhupada is saying, your beauty, your spiritual beauty will manifest the more you beautify Krishna. So that's why deity worship is a very wonderful way to bring out the beauty of the deity, because deity worship is nothing but reposing the heart, the super soul in the heart onto the deity. You are connecting the heart. In your heart is the super soul, which is Krishna, and you are connecting that to the deity. So that beauty manifests when you put more effort into decorating the deity. If Jagannath desires, then I may also join you. But the idea of making San Francisco as new Jagannath Puri is my transcendental dream. Wow. So Prabhupada is saying, this is my transcendental dream. You know, he always wanted Jagannath festival to be had all around the world. Prabhupada would say, this is Jagannath. This is Jagat-nath, the Lord of the universe, not only the Lord of Orissa, is the Lord of the universe. So you should go to every town and city in the world, every town and village, Jagannath. So Prabhupada is saying, and if you fulfill this dream, I shall be so much obliged to you all. Wow. So Prabhupada is sharing his heart here. And what do you think the devotees are going to do? They're going to be, oh, Prabhupada wants this. They're definitely going to be into it. So it's a very beautiful letter. It goes on to another theme, which we'll start and discuss tomorrow. So thank you so much. I hope you have a good day today. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.